The entire repair shop went silent when the orange McLaren rolled off the transport truck. Not because it was beautiful, not because it was expensive, but because everyone believed it was hopeless. The supercar looked like a machine that had lost a war. Its front end was crushed, its electronics were dead, and its engine refused to communicate with the vehicle's computer system. 3 different luxury repair facilities had already examined it. One estimated 6 months of work. Another refused the job entirely. The third said the repairs would cost more than some houses. Yet, standing quietly in the corner of the warehouse was a tired single father wearing grease-stained work clothes. And within 19 hours, he would do what teams of highly paid specialists could not. Before we begin, if you believe kindness, hard work, and second chances can change lives, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one. His name was Ethan Parker. Most people who met Ethan never noticed him. That was partly because he preferred it that way. At 38 years old, Ethan spent his days repairing ordinary vehicles in a small independent garage on the edge of town. While luxury dealerships displayed exotic cars under bright lights and polished floors, Ethan worked beneath leaking roofs and aging fluorescent bulbs. His garage wasn't impressive, neither was his life. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with their 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Since then, every day had become a balancing act. He woke before sunrise, prepared breakfast, took Lily to school, worked 10-hour shifts repairing vehicles, picked her up afterward, cooked dinner, helped with homework, and somehow found enough energy to repeat the cycle the next day. Money was always tight. Bills never stopped arriving. Sleep never seemed long enough. But Ethan had made a promise beside his wife's hospital bed. No matter how difficult life became, Lily would never feel abandoned. That promise became the center of his existence. What few people knew was that Ethan possessed a rare gift. Machines spoke to him, not literally, but while others saw metal, wires, and components, Ethan saw stories. He understood how systems interacted, how one tiny failure could create dozens of larger symptoms, how complicated problems often had surprisingly simple solutions. Unfortunately, talent doesn't always come with opportunity. Most customers only brought him old trucks, family sedans, and delivery vans. The world never noticed his abilities until the McLaren arrived. The vehicle belonged to a wealthy technology entrepreneur named Victoria Sinclair. Victoria had built a multi-million-dollar company and developed a reputation for demanding perfection. When her McLaren suffered catastrophic damage during a transport accident, she spared no expense trying to restore it. The best specialists examined it. Luxury dealerships inspected it. Factory-trained technicians analyzed it. Weeks turned into months. Answers never came. Every estimate grew larger. Every timeline stretched further. Eventually, someone mentioned Ethan's name, not because he was famous, not because he held prestigious certifications, simply because a local mechanic had once seen him solve a problem nobody else could diagnose. Victoria laughed when she first heard the suggestion. A small-town mechanic repairing a McLaren. It sounded ridiculous. Yet frustration eventually overcame skepticism. She agreed to let Ethan inspect the vehicle. The moment the supercar arrived, the entire garage transformed into a theater of doubt. Employees whispered. Visitors stared. Some openly laughed. The damaged vehicle looked completely beyond saving. Ethan walked around it slowly. He didn't rush. He didn't make promises. He simply observed. His fingers traced damaged panels. His eyes followed wiring paths. His attention settled on details others ignored. For nearly 30 minutes, he said nothing. Victoria watched impatiently. The previous experts had produced lengthy reports filled with technical language. She expected the same. Instead, Ethan quietly requested a flashlight, a diagnostic scanner, and access to the vehicle's service records. The request seemed almost disappointingly simple. Hours passed. Then something unexpected happened. Ethan smiled. It wasn't a large smile, just a small expression that appeared for a moment. But it changed everything. Because for the first time since the accident, someone looked hopeful. The official reports claimed multiple critical systems had failed simultaneously. The evidence appeared convincing. Yet Ethan noticed a pattern. Many failures weren't independent. They all originated from one damaged communication pathway hidden beneath several layers of components. The impact had created a chain reaction. Every technician had focused on the visible destruction. Few had investigated the underlying source connecting everything together. It was like treating smoke while ignoring the fire. Ethan began working. As evening approached, other mechanics went home. The garage emptied. The streets outside grew quiet. But Ethan remained. Not because he wanted recognition. Not because of the money. Because he couldn't stop thinking about the puzzle. At 9 o'clock that night, Lily arrived carrying a small backpack and a container of homemade sandwiches. Her grandmother had driven her to the garage. The young girl sat quietly in a corner, while Ethan worked. This wasn't unusual. She had spent much of her childhood around tools and vehicles. She understood her father's world better than most adults. Every so often, Ethan would glance toward her. She would smile. That simple smile fueled him more effectively than coffee ever could. Midnight arrived. Then 1 in the morning. Rain began tapping against the roof. The warehouse felt isolated from the rest of the world. Victoria had gone home hours earlier, convinced nothing significant would happen overnight. But Ethan continued methodically moving forward. He disassembled damaged sections, verified electrical pathways, compared data readings, cross-referenced manufacturer specifications. The process wasn't glamorous. It was slow, precise, demanding. The kind of work that required patience more than brilliance. Around 3 in the morning, exhaustion began taking its toll. His hands ached. His eyes burned. His back felt stiff. Yet he kept going. Because every test confirmed his theory. The problem wasn't as impossible as everyone believed. The challenge wasn't repairing the car. The challenge was understanding it. And understanding was something Ethan did exceptionally well. By dawn, several major systems suddenly came back online. Screens illuminated. Sensors responded. Diagnostic errors disappeared one by one. For the first time since the accident, the McLaren showed signs of life. Ethan didn't celebrate. He knew premature confidence could destroy progress. Instead, he continued verifying every subsystem. Lily eventually fell asleep wrapped in a blanket near his workbench. When Ethan looked at her, he felt a familiar mixture of pride and sadness. She deserved more, a bigger house, better opportunities, fewer sacrifices, yet she never complained. She believed her father could accomplish anything. That belief mattered more than she realized. As sunlight entered through the garage windows, employees began arriving for work, one by one. They noticed something strange. The damaged McLaren no longer looked dead. Its displays were active. Its systems responded. The impossible project appeared to be moving. Word spread quickly. Curiosity drew people into the workshop. Soon a crowd gathered. Nobody wanted to admit it, but many hoped Ethan would fail. Success from someone ordinary can make others uncomfortable, especially when experts have already surrendered. Victoria received a phone call shortly after 8 in the morning. She assumed it was another update, another delay, another complication. Instead, she heard something that made her immediately leave for the garage. When she arrived, dozens of people stood around the vehicle. The atmosphere felt different, electric, anticipatory. Ethan looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. His clothes were stained. His hands were covered with cuts and grease, but his expression remained calm. He invited Victoria to approach, without dramatic speeches, without boasting, without fanfare. He pressed a button. The McLaren awakened. The engine roared to life. Every person in the building froze. For a moment, nobody spoke. The sound echoed through the garage like a declaration of victory. Months of frustration vanished in seconds. Victoria stared in disbelief. The vehicle wasn't merely functioning. It was alive. The same car declared nearly impossible to repair now sat idling smoothly before her. The crowd erupted, some applauded, others simply shook their heads. Manny couldn't comprehend what they had witnessed. 19 hours, that was all it had taken. 19 hours to accomplish what countless specialists had failed to achieve. Yet, the most remarkable part wasn't the repair itself. It was what happened next, because success has a way of revealing character, and Ethan's true character was about to change far more lives than a repaired supercar ever could. To be continued in the next part. If you are enjoying this story so far, tell us where you are watching from and what lesson stands out to you most. Your comment helps the channel grow and inspires others to share their thoughts.